Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. We are here to review our match against Tottenham Hotspur, ended 2-2 at Goodison Park. Owen, it's two very different things to take away from this game. One was the performance and one was the results and what it means. So let's just get straight into it. First of all, let's start with the performance rather than the results. What did you make of the team's overall performance in comparison to the previous game against Brighton?
Well, I think in both ways, in my opinion, they were both positive performances and for different reasons. I think Brighton was more of we've got about 4 players fit here, so we're doing 5-a-side basically. And it was trying to make the most of what we had in terms of protecting the points and making sure we didn't get beaten. We could have easily have won it if Alex Iwobi would have kept the shot on target, not trying to hit Rosette in the last minute. But Tottenham was completely different. We had a few more players back and I thought we looked really good. I think they invited a lot of shots on their goal, so it would have been ridiculous for us to not took advantage of that and try and pen them back. And if it weren't for 2 ridiculous defensive errors that I've still not got over, then we would have won the game. So it's disappointing in the sense we didn't win the game, but I think we can take positives of the performance, definitely, because I think like James Rodriguez just took over the game for me, and no one else on the pitch really matched him for his quality.
Yeah, I mean, before we get into the granular, bits of the game, you mentioned it then about the defensive mistakes. Have you got the same feeling as me that this season we've sort of developed like a little mini rivalry with Spurs? Not in the sense of the fans don't like each other or anything like that, but the sort of, we've both got, old school, elite level managers. I feel like we've got very similar squads, like in terms of not just where they are, but also how they're made up. Like, okay, Tottenham have got a little bit of extra quality in certain areas compared to us, but we've got a little bit of quality in areas that they haven't. So, they've got Kane and Son, we've got Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin, and I know Kane and Son are better than them, but you know what I mean? Like, similar sorts of types of team, almost similar sort of types of club at the minute. And we've played them 3 times this season, and every time that we've proper gone at each other, there's not been a boring game. Between us now, we've not lost once to them, so we would think that they might see it a little bit.
They're turning their hair over, really. Don't worry.
But and as I say, they've got better quality up front. Although we're all right up front, they've got like the sort of upgraded version of what we've got. One area I would have said going into the game where we're stronger would have been centre back. Now on the strength of this game, I've made a liar of myself because. Let's just get straight into it. The game's, flowing, ebbing and flowing. It's a good little back and forth game. And then Keane and Holgate conspire for the first time in the match. I think we go 1-0 down. So a Harry Kane finish that he can't miss. I could have scored the chance he had. What did you make of that instant? Who's at fault? Break it down.
So the ball comes in. So me first thought, just thinking back, Ben Godfrey should be stopping the cross because it's allowed to get out there. He doesn't do enough to stop the cross for me, and then the cross comes in, and then Holgate thinks Keane's going to miss it, so he's going to try and take everything. He then misses it. It goes over Keane, so that it's poor communication for one because they don't know where each other are, and then Harry Kane's free to put the ball in the back of the net, which again. There's no one picking them up, so there's just fundamental errors going on there. I really doubt Mason Holgate's credentials to be a centre back in the Premier League. I don't think he's physical enough. He's got a turn of pace, but he's not. Unless you're putting him next to Yerry Mina for me, who I think's our best centre back. I worry for him. I think he's the weakest out of 4, definitely. And Michael Keane's a confidence player as it is, so. Don't expect him to play well now until August because that will just put him right off. So, yeah, there's so many. There were so many little individual errors in that. I think I'm not blaming Michael Keane as much for it. I think people just look at the obvious, but I just think it's a communication issue. I think Keane's just trying to, I don't know, try and head it away, but he misjudges, and Holgate just rushes out when he was on Kane, so he should have just stayed where he is and tried to anticipate the ball coming and then clearing it if Keane didn't head it, because Keane went for the header. Keane was trying to win. I think Holgate should have just waited and then cleared it rather than presuming he wouldn't win the ball. But I don't know. It's more of a communication issue for me than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I understand people being angry about what it's cost. The result. We should have won this game, and 2 defensive errors from 2 players have cost us it. But I don't think anyone is at the point where I, throw Holgate or Keane or both on the scrap heap. But what I'd be very willing to throw on the scrap heap are 2 things. It's 3 at the back. Personally, I know not everyone's going to agree with that. I don't think it suits Michael Keane. I think it sometimes suits Holgate. But I'm sorry, just to benefit one player, I'm not into that. And I'm certainly not into the idea of Holgate and Keane as a partnership. I don't think they work well together. I know they do because they're friends off the pitch. And they've said last season that they think they're a good partnership. Not from what I've seen. I think you've got to have one or the other. And then, well, at the minute, I've thought for most of the season, although Keane's been poor the last few games, he's had a very good season. And I thought Keane and Godfrey would be the partnership going forward. Okay, there's been injuries and they've had to shuffle the pack to get, the only players they seem to have fit at the minute as centre-backs. But as you said, Yerry Mina, I think, is going to be in there as soon as he's fit again. And I think, Mina and Godfrey might be something we can look at because, there's been some big headers in this game. So we got back in the game straight away. We didn't let our heads drop, which was good to see. Got a penalty, despite, what people say it is a penalty. James Rodriguez doesn't kick the floor unimpeded. He's just not that type of player. The replays make it look dodgy because they're starting the replay before the pushes originally happened. So it is a penalty. We scored the penalty. Can't really analyse, penalty, puts it in from 12 yards. Then it's an even game again. As the game goes on, take us through our second goal. I'm not even going to describe what happened. I want you to. It was just, what did you make of that goal?
It was really nice. It was a really nice goal to watch, but it's just Seamus Coleman. I'm not going to try and do him down here, but he's not Mbappe, is he? He's not anything to write home about Seamus Coleman. He's quite like elementary in the way he approaches his wide. He just gets it out, gets it in. I mean, his crossing isn't generally great, but he just floats it in and Sigurdsson puts it in. But Alex Iwobi, is he not capable of doing that? 1-2 and then putting it in the box. I mean, I think I could probably do that. I've got absolutely zero technical ability, but I reckon if I was a winger, I think that would be my go-to thing. Where I don't know what Alex Iwobi does in 90 minutes half the time, because it's just like that's just elementary the wide play. But anyway, I think really good from Coleman to give and go and then get in the box, and then Gylfi. I was given the Blag stats from Iceland stick all week because he's unblocked me, and then he scores 2. So I think I might give him some more stick this week until he blocks me again, and then just so Gylfi can keep scoring. I think Gylfi Sigurdsson's a really good player when he's closer to the opposition's box, and he can score worldies and he can contribute with assists and goals. I think he's actually had a quite good season, Gylfi, when he's playing in that position. I think when Gylfi Sigurdsson isn't good is when he's forced to be a possession player in midfield and try and start attacks. He's just not quick enough to get the ball moving. Yeah. And I just don't think that suits him. I think he's best in and around the opposition's penalty box. He works hard from the front. He's good out of possession when he's forced to do that. I think in the games against Chelsea and Arsenal and a few others, I can't remember who else he played, and when he's had to be sort of he's had to sit in the low block, and he's been good at forcing the passing lines out wide. So he's got a use, definitely, but he's just got no use when he was playing Newcastle at home, and he's forced to sort of play a Jorginho role where he's supposed to be a possession player. He's rubbish at that. He's best when he's in the opposition's penalty box, and I'll always say that. I think he's a decent player when he's in there. But okay, he's not De Bruyne, like, he thinks he's better than De Bruyne, doesn't he? The Icelandic stat out, but
thinks he's better than Messi. That's all. Genuinely said that. But this game, like Sigurdsson, big picture wise, I know not everyone's going to agree, but for me, he's climbed out the bin this season. He's not he was fully in the bin for me last season. I've just got some. But now, he has got a role. Like, he's useful if used like appropriately, and he's been overused, I think, this season because of the injuries. We've used him a lot more than we should have. And as you said, he can't play deep midfield. He can't, play that Jorginho role. He's better, around the opposition penalty area. And we saw the best and the worst of him in this game, because the best, obviously, is that fantastic second goal. Like, the finish is unbelievable. The move's incredible. I watched it in my mum's and scared the shit out of her by screaming dead loud just as she was walking in the door, because it was just such a great goal. And we also saw the bad side of him, which he had a foot race with Toby Alderweireld in the corner of the Gladys Street by the church, and he had about a 4-yard head start on 35-year-old Toby Alderweireld and lost the race. His legs are completely... No, he's not fast. So, if you use him appropriately, I think, the new contract which is mooted for him probably is worth having him around. He's sort of getting into that Baines territory now, where he's a good squad player to have. Keep him around for another year or two. Use him here and there, because, let's be honest, our other number 10 is not one who's going to complete a full season in James Rodriguez. So you're going to have someone who can come in for him and not do a similar job, but do a job for the team.
If your two number 10s in the team is James and Sigurdsson, you're not doing badly there, in my opinion. James is a class above, of course, but if you're back up to that skillful Sigurdsson, I don't think you're getting a bad steer there, personally.
No, exactly. So, we go ahead. We fully deserve to be ahead. It's been a decent game, but we've had the better of it for sure. There was one incident where, I'm not sure. Actually, I was going to say this came next, but I don't think it did until after the Spurs goal. But we should have really won it when Richarlison had a best part of an open goal after Josh King had made the keeper make a good save and skies it into the Gladys Street. That's unforgivable. Big players need to score.
The funny thing is, Sigurdsson scores that.
Yeah, he does. But obviously, down the other end, after most of the team have had a good game, the two centre-backs just once again conspire together. I can't really blame Holgate for this one. I think Holgate's at fault for the first one, because he's lost Harry Kane behind him and lets the ball fly completely over his head. And then in this one, it's completely Michael Keane's fault. He's made an absolute pig's ear of a crossing once again. I don't like the two of them as a centre-back partnership. Twice in one game, they've left the best striker in the league a free in the box with the whole of the goal to shoot at. I just think the likes of Sigurdsson and James must have turned around and thought, what are these two doing? We've made, got ourselves ahead in this game after being a goal down, which was your fault, and now you've put us back to 2-2. So there's two defensive errors which cost us, because it wasn't defensive errors 30 yards out, it was defensive errors 12 yards out with Harry Kane behind you. So that's unforgivable. The two of them need a thorough bollocking, but I don't think it's a case of writing the two of them off. I think it's just accepting that there's a long way to go for a lot of these players and a lot of this team. That, Keane signed a new contract, Holgate's not long signed a new contract. These are going to be Everton players going forward. But if we want to get to that next level, I think we need to probably get better than them. Certainly Holgate's been playing right back and centre back this season. He's sort of in that limbo he's been in most of his Everton career. I think if we do bring in a right back in the summer, I think he's going to be one of those. He's going to become a utility man. He's not going to start centre back and he's not going to start right back, but he'll chip about 30 games a season in between the two of them. Yeah, I mean, the performance was a performance. But what do you make of the result? Where does it leave us?
Look, we've got 2 games against Aston Villa, who I don't rate at all. I think, especially without Jack Grealish, I think they're possibly the most overrated side in the world. But I think we can do them home and away. We've got Wolves at home who will be on the beach by the time the last game comes, and we should there might be some fans in for that. Am I wrong? Or the Wolves game?
Last home game, yeah. That everyone's getting one home game with fans in. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's Wolves, Sheffield United. I don't care if we're playing in my back entry. We should be beating them.
In your way, sorry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh goodness. Well, wherever we should play that anyway. We should be beating them, and Man City on the last day is pretty much as good as a write-off. But they could be, yeah. I was going to try and make some comparison that they might be in some final by then, but yeah, they could play anyone. They'll probably beat us. So yeah. Arsenal next week. Look, they're very winnable. I think if we beat Arsenal next week, we give ourselves a really good chance, in my opinion, because the rest of the games, I think we should win. It was just if we'd have had that team out against Brighton, we would have won, and we'd have won comfortably because they're just not very good either. So the other two games which we drew and lost at home, I think they were better than us. I thought both of them. I didn't think Brighton were. I just thought Brighton were just. To me, they were just like a second division Dutch team, just passed the ball around a lot and they didn't go anywhere. They had no pace. They were slower than us. So, yeah, I think that was a game where we definitely should have, with more players available, we should have won. The other two, we should have won, but the performance was no. Palace, yeah, we had loads of golden chances in that, but if you don't take your chances against Palace, they're not going to give you the game. So you've got to go and do it yourself. And then the game before that against Burnley, they just absolutely had us off. So there's nothing much more else to say than I was right all along. And this team is pretty much built around Decore because it's his energy and his tenacity in the middle of the park that gets us up the pitch and that protects our penalty box. I remember having a conversation with someone at the start of the season on Twitter who said he hadn't had one good game for Everton. I'm just laughing now because I bet he was wishing he was having one of his terrible games for Everton. Just again, makes a laughing stock out of football opinion, some people, but yeah. We really missed him.
Badly missed him. I mean, it is frustrating. Like the season's not over. I got a little bit like reactionary. I'm not one for it usually, but I got a little bit reactionary on Twitter. I was like, season's over. Like, that's it. We need.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, it's probably not. I don't really agree with myself now, but it's not over. There's still things to go, but it's just frustrating. When we beat West Brom, we were in fourth and we had it all ahead of us, and we've been tonked by Burnley. We've drawn to Palace. We've drawn to Brighton in games we could have won, should have won, and games we should have won against Spurs. Like, if we win those games, we're comfortably in fourth now. And I know it's not as simple as that. There's injuries, other teams.
I did say when after we played, I think it was either the West Brom or the Chelsea game straight after, I did say them couple of home games coming up would be far from a walk in the park. And if we weren't at it and we weren't clinical, they would get points against us, and they both did. The Brighton one, I thought with more players, we would have won. But it's shoulda, coulda, woulda, isn't it? It's just we didn't. So we've got how many games left now? 8, something like that.
7, 8. So I can't remember, but 7, 8, yeah, something like that.
Well, we've got to make them count and go from Friday was a good point if we back it up with some more points in the next couple of games, because they haven't pulled away from us. West Ham got beat yesterday to Newcastle, so I wouldn't. I could see them not picking up as many points as they have. Liverpool, you don't know what you're going to get from them, and I would back Chelsea to finish in that 4th position. But I think that's well out of the question. I think the other places are up for debate now, and I think the likes of Leeds behind us, I think, got to worry about them because I think they're a good team and they're in good form. So I think it's a double-edged sword at the moment. We've got to do enough to pull away from the teams that are like coming up behind us, but we've also got to sort of break into the top 7. We'll see. I think if we beat Arsenal, that's them in the mud, I reckon. But I'd still worry about Leeds slightly.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, we can start by, if we beat Arsenal, we can more or less stop worrying about that. But if we get beat by Arsenal, then we're scrapping around 10th again. Like, it's
it's boring.
squeaky bum time, isn't it? You know, we've got a lot of draws now. We've got to start winning these last few games, and if we do, we'll be in there. But if we lose, we could fall right away. It'll show what minerals these players have got now, because they can't keep drawing and losing games. They've got to start winning now.
Who's our game after Arsenal Villa?
I think it is Villa, yeah. That's what, the rearranged one still isn't rearranged, but it's the second, we're meant to be the second Villa game.
I don't know what the ends up doing for that, the rearranged game. That was in December, that was supposed to be, weren't it? Yeah. So don't know what's going on there. But yeah, we've just got to get our heads down between now and the end of the season and get as many points down as we can. I think hopefully Calvert-Lewin will be back in the next couple of weeks and he gives us something else. I thought Josh King did well when he came on as well. I thought, he probably should have scored that chance, but I think he was more lively.
I'd certainly. I'm not one of these great Josh King supporters. I'm not.
No, me neither. But I do think he did well. The manager won't start him because he doesn't trust him tactically out of possession, which is no wonder. He played for Bournemouth for 5 years. He wouldn't know what to do with himself. So
I'd sooner have him on the pitch though than Iwobi at the minute. I think he's
exactly.
I think he offers more than Iwobi. So I don't know. We'll see. It's a good performance, frustrating results. We got on to the next one. See what happens.
We'll just have to one game at a time. I think we've got games coming up: Arsenal, Villa, another Villa, where they're in and around us. So if we win them, if we pull clear of them, obviously we lose, we're dragged back into that part of the table. But I think there's teams above us who I wouldn't bet from low to win down. So we'll have to say it was a good performance. So if we take that performance into the last couple of games, I think we'll win off more than we don't. But if we play like we did against the first half against Burnley, when we don't stand a chance in any game, well, most games. So
yeah, well, I think we'll leave it at that then. Not much else to say. On to the next one. It's the crunch time now. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for joining me, Owen. I won't be hosting many more of these. It's just a sort of emergency Toffee Blues switch around. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe, and thank you very much for watching us on the Toffee Blues.